to Alchemy of Awakening on Awakening Airwaves. My name's Holly, and I'm so pleased you're here. This is being recorded in the month of October, which means that Halloween is nearby. Dia de los Muertos follows the day afterwards. Plus, in North America, whether it's Canada or the United States, we have an awareness of our Thanksgiving holiday. In Canada, it's in October, and in the United States, it's in November. And this means it's like really kicking into this season of holidays and also family, and family meaning our family maybe of origin. And what comes into this awareness is also our ancestors, those who've come before us. During this time period, the veil for us is a lot thinner to connect with, or just even be aware more of our ancestors, their influences in our lives. And so I wanted to talk about this. And I talk to people a lot about the ancestors because it does come up in the Akashic Records, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But I've talked to some people, and when we talk about ancestors, which could be as they're anybody who's passed, gone before you. So it could be a parent, it could be a grandparent, it could be an aunt, an uncle, a friend. But in this case, I'm going to more refer to familial ancestors, okay? It could be children of yours or siblings who have already transitioned also. And when I talk to people about this, there's a variety of thought on this. I would say some people say, well, why do I care? They're gone. They're not in this lifetime anymore. Let them be. This is my life. I'm living my life now, and I don't need to worry about them anymore. It could be that I've heard lots of people say, hey, they hurt me, and I'm glad they're gone. People can feel relieved that those ancestors aren't here and actively impacting their lives anymore. So they don't really want to dabble in anything to do with the ancestors. They don't want to resurrect anything with the people who have gone before them. They might even feel like I'm never going to forgive them because of what happened. People also talk about the fact that, like, well, I have some habits I don't like, or I have some beliefs and energies that they left me with. I know that's part of my family lineage, and I don't want to deal with that anymore because I really don't like those things, those decisions and habits and beliefs that have been passed down the generations. They're not positively influencing my life. So not everyone has a great view of what ancestors are and how we can shift ourselves into a deeper understanding of them. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum are other people who love the idea of their ancestors. They love working with them. They might recognize that some of who they are, like their gifts, their tendencies, their interests, actually come from their ancestors, and they really love that. Some people are very proud of their lineage and where they've come from. They may recognize that their ancestors may not have been perfect, but they know they did an amazing job in their lives, and their energies and their beliefs, their experiences are living on through me. So we have two ends of the spectrum here. And, you know, obviously there's a lot of gray area in between where we can fall in the middle, because most of us are a combination of the two. They're the parts we love about our ancestors, their beliefs and their energies. And then there are other parts that are not so great that we want to learn to heal, release, so that you get to be free from that and create your own pathway with that. So as you may already be aware, if not, you'll learn it more today, is that I have this deep, deep passion for the Akashic Records and what they can do for us in our lives, support us in understanding ourselves, accepting who we are, releasing patterns and energies that aren't serving us the way we would like, and also giving us that vision and the forward momentum to really pursue our passion and fulfill what we feel is our mission in life. So what we're going to do in this episode is we want to talk about our ancestors through the lens of this incredible spiritual resource, the Akashic Records, and discover what's there for us personally. So in this episode, we're going to explore why the energies All of our ancestors actually do matter to us, and there's likely an influence there. And how we can use the Akashic Records as a really great way to connect and understand more of the energies, because we're not really trying to do mediumship in the Akashic Records where we want to talk with them. If you want to talk directly with your ancestors, I think it's a great thing to do. Go find a really great medium. But we're talking about the energies that we're carrying, and I'll talk more about that are related to our ancestors. And we're going to talk about why these energies from your ancestors might be a key component in your journey of healing and personal transformation, your growth on your growth path, and also how these energies might matter or impact you as you accept and anchor your gifts. Now, if you're new to the Akashic Records and maybe you're hearing about this for the first time, I did an initial video more about the basics of understanding the Akashic Records, and I'll put that link in the description below this so you can go back and watch that if you want to catch up a little bit more on what are the Akashic Records and how they can help us. So the first thing I want to do is start out by saying you're going to hear me say, and I've already said, the energies of your ancestors. So we relate to our ancestor as the people who came before us in our lineage, okay? And so that could be people like your parents, if they've passed on, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, aunts, uncles, previous generations. And for many of us, we know them by their name, maybe through photos, maybe we've heard family stories, and maybe we were around them, and maybe not. Whether we knew them in our physical life right now, they're still our ancestors. Now, when your ancestors lived, whether it was generationally your parents or your great-great-great-grandparents, they had tons of experiences. There's a good chance that your ancestors lived very differently than you do today. And through their lived experiences, they came to have very particular beliefs and understandings of all kinds of things about life, about who they are, about other people, about even foundationally, is life good, is life hard, that kind of thing. All stemming from their lived experiences. So what they came to know and understand was really important to them. Some of those things, literally, the decisions they made and the conclusions they came to, the things they did, it literally might have saved their lives, maybe saved the lives of everyone in the village. And it was really vital to successfully live and function in their time, in their circumstances. You might even know, if you go back 2 or 3 generations, where was your family living? And they wouldn't have all the amenities we have now. They might not have had access to education, maybe not even clean water. Food might have been hard. So their lived experiences, as we can understand, would be vastly different. So their relationship to their world would be very different. So the thoughts and beliefs that were shaped by their lived experiences were literally saved by them. And they were passed on by your ancestors to their children, and to then going on to their children's children and down the line. They became the ancestral wisdom that was important to your family, but it all anchors back to previous generations. This wisdom, these thoughts and these beliefs and understandings, again, became the foundation of your family's lineage. And as I'm talking about this, you may even have some things coming up. It's like, oh, everyone in my family believes this, or we understand this about life. It may be similar to other people that you know who aren't in your family lineage, but it may be very different also, that it's unique to your family. Now, all of these thoughts, beliefs, and experiences that your ancestors had and created, how are they passed down? They're passed down through words, through stories, through actions, through guidance. But all of that is an energetic form. Okay. Again, the way we act is not just in our action, but it's also the energy of it. The way we speak, it's an energetic flow. So there's an energetic construct to everything that we're transmitting and sharing. So some of these energies that you might be well aware of on your conscious level, and some of them actually exist on a subconscious level. So let's talk about how this applies to us in our here and now. So the energy of your ancestors roughly fall into three categories. Number one, a really positive impact on who you are, your life, your relationship to the world. There could be a very neutral impact, neither good nor bad, just neutral. It just is. And then there's also some that we would say is more of a negative impact, and negative from the point of view that in this moment where you are living and existing now, it doesn't feel like a good thing to you now. And we're going to talk about how that wasn't necessarily true for your ancestors, but it might be true for you now. So our purposes right here, right now in this video, we're going to set aside any of the energies that are neutral impact. Because if they're neutral, we don't need to do anything or understand anything about them. We're just going to let them be. So that leaves us with the energies that could have a very positive impact on us and the ones that may not be so positively influential right now. Both of these types of energy, the positive and what we would call the negative energies, are influenced by positive beliefs and energies from your ancestors as well as your negative ones. So let's focus on the negative ones first right now. I'd like you to understand something very important. Your experience, like you could say, oh, my ancestors, I do this, I believe this, I have this experience in life. And we could say my experience is negative right now because of these energies. Why? A lot of the reason I'm going to go out on a limb, it's basically almost 100%, is the reason they don't feel positive anymore is because those energies are not relevant. They aren't active. They're not necessary to the life and the times that you're currently living in right now. And the fact that you're not comfortable with them right now doesn't mean that your ancestors really messed you up, because these energies, when they began, when we start to understand that, they would have been very important to your ancestors, really important. And they would have been very positive in the time when they were created, when they were living their lives. They were relevant to your ancestors' lives. Let me just say this again slightly differently. At the point of origin, when these energies began, they were great. They were amazing. In fact, they were the best ideas that they could have had, or best conclusions based on the experience of their life. And since they were living in their lives, time has gone by, right? So, and now those energies might be the exact same energies. Those beliefs and those understandings may not have changed at all or updated since your ancestors had those experiences that brought about those beliefs and understanding. So you might be holding on to the things that you do, the beliefs and understandings that were vital, important, and maybe even essential generations ago, but they're just not relevant or necessary to your life now. Again, I hear people all the time just like, oh, my ancestors, they're a problem. They did these things and now look at it, it's a mess. So we want to try to let them off the hook, and we're going to talk about that more in a minute, to just start to hold it a little more gently and understand, I don't like it because it's not helping me. but that doesn't mean it didn't help them in the time that it began. Okay, so your experience of these older energies could be that you have habits, you have beliefs, things that maybe you do that annoy you now, or habits that you wish you didn't have. These might feel frustrating to you. You might feel stuck. You might struggle to make sustaining change that you like to have in your life. So when these older energies that are rooted with your ancestors are ready to change, they will become all the things that I just mentioned: frustrating, mystifying, feeling stuck, unable to change. Of course, we can have other energies that feel the same. These feelings are not always and only associated with our ancestors. We can feel frustrated and stuck even without an ancestral connection. But when we're outgrowing ancestral energies, that's how it feels. It's like putting on a jacket that's too tight. It belonged to somebody else, and you're trying to get your body to fit in it. It doesn't feel comfortable. So let's go to where the Akashic Records can really support you in creating shifts. Because after all, it can be really difficult to feel that your ancestors held these energies in a positive, empowered way, especially when your experience feels the opposite. The good news is when we go into the Akashic Records, we do not have to know ahead of time if the energies or the struggles we have are for sure connected to our ancestors, because when we work in the Akashic Records, we open to just what's going on right here, right now. How are we feeling? What's going on? How are we experiencing life? And when we're in the Akashic Records, if it's energetically connected with your ancestors, it's going to come up. It's going to be obvious, and we're going to go there. So here are some key points about the energies of your ancestors and shifting their impact on you in the cases where they're not feeling positive and supportive anymore. So if we're in the Akashic Records and we're talking about something that's frustrating, a pattern that we'd like to break through, and we're trying to receive the guidance in our Akashic Records to understand it and be able to transmute and transform that. If we're taken to an ancestral connection, then what we begin looking for and discovering is what was right about what they were experiencing at that time. We approach it from that point of view. In that time when it began, whether it was in the life of your recent ancestors, like your parents and grandparents, or going further back in your lineage, what they decided, what they chose to believe, or what they did was their absolute best. They literally could not have made a better decision, come to a better conclusion, or acted any differently. We have the ability, when we're supported by the Akashic Records, to see it through the lens of their life and times, their circumstances, not ours. And then we have that ability to bring compassion and understanding and clarity to our understanding. We start saying, oh, this is what happened. This is why it started. I understand in the context of their life why this was amazing. And as we do this in and of itself can create a huge energetic shift via the Akashic Records. We can begin to let that pattern go as we understand the origin, and especially the why of the origin in that time and space. We also can see how it was relevant and timely, again, in their life's experience. We can also understand why some of the troublesome patterns that we're experiencing aren't relevant. We can say, oh, I'm not in that time and space. I'm not living those circumstances. Do I really need to still believe this? Do I really need to expect life to be this way anymore because I'm not in those same circumstances? What's beautiful about working in the Akashic Records is very often just seeing where it began and why starts changing our relationship with it, and we can let that energy go. Okay. I view it as a form of energetically updating our programming through the understanding that's delivered to us from the space of the Akashic Records. You're carrying energetic patterns of belief, understandings, and expectations. Also, this is a really fun aspect of this, that are also really great. So this is another aspect of working with ancestors in the Akashic Records. There are some really wonderful, outstanding things that you hold, that you are, that you believe, your orientation to the world, that came from your ancestors. Some of the gifts you have came from them. So in the same way that I shared about before, you actually can start working with some of your gifts, your talents, your desires, your sense of mission and purpose, and discover the origin of some of these patterns, and discover that there could be a deep ancestral connection. And you can also understand, in the same way we can do with the negative aspects, we can start to understand the really positive impact of some of these great qualities that we hold that came from our ancestors. We can understand why it began, why they believed these really great things, and they were so great they kept passing them down. And so when you understand your gifts in this way, that it originated from your ancestor and why, you actually hold those gifts and those new energies and those new ideas. I think of it as more reverently, more lovingly, with greater understanding. Like, look, our family, we've done this for generations, and it's such a beautiful thing. And even being in gratitude and appreciation for the circumstances in your ancestors' lives that brought about something that was really elegant and that you're proud to hold as truth for yourself. So you'll know and understand that bigger flow of your own energy through your ancestral soul family. So this is touching into the benefit of exploring our ancestors through the lens of our current life. As I mentioned before, not absolutely everything that we experience in this life is directly a result of our ancestors' energies. We have energies from our past lives. We have energy from our current life also. So the ancestors are one facet of it, and yet also a very important facet of it to understand also from that soul family perspective, that we've chosen to travel together. And so that soul family group that's traveling together, some of whom are your ancestors, are there, we're in it together, and we're all learning similar things on that soul level, and we're expanding and supporting each other on our soul's journey. So I'd love to hear what you've known and understood about your ancestors, what you might be curious about in terms of any patterns that you see that maybe you haven't cracked the code on yet. And if you're curious about wondering if there's an ancestral connection around what you're experiencing. So if you want to know more about the Akashic Records, please visit me at my website. Please like and subscribe to this beautiful podcast. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to answer them for you. Many blessings to each and every one of you. Much love.